Hello, welcome to the Film Pulse podcast. This is episode number 248. My name's Adam Patterson. Joining me today, we got Kevin Rakestraw. How are you, Kevin?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good. That's great.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This week on the show, we'll be reviewing Jeremy Gillespie and Steven Kostanski's The Void. We'll be talking about someone we're watching on the watch list, new releases, VOD stuff, Blu-ray stuff, all that fun stuff. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, if you want to join in on the conversation, you can send us an email, podcast@filmpulse.net. You can send us a tweet @filmpulsenet. And if you like what you hear, consider helping us out by subscribing to our Patreon, patreon.com/filmpulse for just $1 a month. It'll help us keep the show running. Let's go ahead and just dive right in.
This is jump straight into the void.
We're going to fall into the void.
Watch out.
So as I said, this is written and directed by Jeremy Gillespie, Steven Kostanski. I have a synopsis here. Shortly after delivering a patient to an understaffed hospital, a police officer experiences strange and violent occurrences seemingly linked to a group of mysterious hooded figures. Now, Kevin, I'm going to predict that you hated this movie.
Kind of right. No, I guess overall. Yeah, I don't think I would throw hate in there.
Okay, good.
I would say slight disappointment in certain areas.
I would agree. It is a slight disappointment. The thing about this movie is that it is very much an homage to horror films of the 80s and into the 90s, like Prince of Darkness. I would even compare it to a lot of these kind of siege movies that we saw with
you got
Assault on Precinct 13.
You got the Siege movie mixed
with
The Thing mixed with like an H.P. Lovecraft type feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mixed with cults, mixed with, just essentially like all these different genres. Let's just have them commingle together.
Right. And when you look at the structure of the film too, the way that it culminates at the end and that big kind of earth-shattering kind of crescendo that happens at the end, like a lot of there are a lot of shades of, like you said, like the Lovecraft stories that are adaptations that were coming out in the 80s and 90s. It just had that vibe to it, which I thought was interesting. I didn't love the movie. I was disappointed with it on, I'm sure, several bits that we'll get into later, but as it went on, I started to kind of feel like it reminded me so much of those movies without necessarily, at least in my opinion, feeling like a ripoff. Like I felt like it very lovingly honored those movies. And
I think there was also a point for me was because it's such an homage to so many different films that none of them stand, at the forefront,
right,
out front and center, where it's like, oh, okay, so you're just blatantly doing this movie. It's like a bunch of puzzle pieces of different movies just all put together, so you can't really pin it down to say that it's just ripping off of this one movie, because it seems to be kind of inspired by like 37 different movies.
Yeah, which I think is totally fine. I think that movies that do that, I mean, most movies these days, you could probably say drew influence from something else anyway. So I didn't find it to be problematic in this movie. I think that one of the things holding it back was that it was kind of honoring those movies warts and all. There were certain aspects of it, like for instance, the fact that not a whole lot of it made any sense. Like a lot of the things that transpire, you're just like, all right, okay, sure. we'll just roll with that. Like there's just so much of it. Like there's a scene, and I'm not giving any spoilers away or anything like that, but there's a scene where somebody's running through like a corridor, like a hallway, and like the hallway for some reason is like closing in on him. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden he just pops up in this other place and you're just like, all right.
Yeah, there was a part of me towards the end there where I've talked about this before, where I was actually kind of happy that they didn't try to make sense of this, because I was slightly worried there for a second where I was like, okay, they're gonna try and like bring all this together. They're gonna try and make it all logical. And usually when you do that, it just falls apart completely because
Right.
it ends up making you look like a fucking idiot.
Yeah, because you end up having like typically you have the info dump that
Yeah,
explains everything, and then they'll use like clips. They'll do callbacks to scenes that happened earlier in the movie, and they'll show you those scenes again, and you're just like, all right, come on.
yeah,
And I was worried that that was going to happen too, because there were kind of two instances where I was like, are we going to get some exposition here? Because there was one scene where the cop found, or it was the cop, and then also the I don't know, the redneck guy with the shotgun.
yeah.
They found this like box, and it had like pictures and a book in it, and I was like, oh man, are they gonna like get into some exposition type stuff here? And then also there was a scene towards the end where the doctor was explaining some things, and I was like, oh, here we go. But they didn't really go there with it, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah. It was much. Just leave it. You know what I mean? Just leave it. Don't try to explain it. It doesn't make sense. And in all honesty, I don't fucking care. Like I don't need it to make sense. I mean, it's nonsense. Let's just admit it right up
Right,
front. It's nonsense. It's creatures. It's hooded figures with triangles painted on their faces. The void. All this stuff. It's just nonsense. It's just an excuse for some creature special effects and just let's have at it. Let's have fun. All right.
yeah, I totally agree. Plus, I'm of the mind that if the characters in the film have no idea what's going on, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing that we also don't know what's going on, because it keeps while
Yeah.
everything keeps the characters on their toes, we're also kind of kept on our toes because we know that literally anything could happen at any time because there's no rules in this situation that they're in.
Yeah.
Like people can die, people can come back, like they can be transported into like some kind of alternate like
Yeah.
reality, and there are no rules here. And while I think that sometimes that's a problem in certain movies, in this one I thought that it didn't bother me. I wasn't kind of trying to grasp into some sort of reasoning behind this stuff.
Yeah.
I
No,
was just going along for the ride.
I think, yeah. And I think that one of the things that helped, kind of maybe usher me into that comfort level was the fact that the special effects, for the most part, there's a couple of spots where they're a little bit shoddy, but for the most part, the special effects are fantastic.
Yeah, and I think that that is definitely something that we should touch on, is that almost all of the special effects were, I think all of the special effects were actually practical. They used obviously some CG and some of the kind of the imagery, like the
Yeah.
space type stuff. Obviously they have to do that, but for the most part, all the creature effects, all of the like the there's so many movies these days that use CG gunshots. Like when guns are fired,
Or it's
they
CG.
add
Yeah.
they add the muzzle flash on it, and then they just have the actor like reproduce the recoil, and it
Yeah.
just looks so bad to me.
Well, that plus like CGI blood.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean
Yeah.
that's of course
But
that's
like
that's the
this
absolute worst.
is like they're using just practical blood, practical tissue, brain matter, all sorts of stuff.
And not
And
to mention they really do have fun with the creature effects, in that there's a lot of different creatures in this. Like I didn't expect that going in, but like there's a scene where they go down into one area, and there's just a shitload of these things, and they all look different. They all have their own like little grotesque features to them.
you got the
And
bending over backwards, crawling.
yeah,
shit
that one
thing
was that
going.
one was really cool. That was
was
that was a cool
disgusting. You
looking.
got that faceless thing doing the where he was like head fucking that pipe,
Yeah.
which I mean that was just oh
Yeah, the special effects work in this was excellent. And then the big kind of creature at the end, I thought that looked really good. The really big one.
yeah. I thought that yeah, I would agree. I thought that looked pretty good. I found it odd that like its creator was just kind of ambivalent to what happened.
Well, yeah, that was one of the big issues I had, was this whole thing was to make that, and then as soon as it happens, it runs off, and he's just standing there like still spouting off his kind of preachy nonsense, and meanwhile
Whatever.
he has to see this thing being like shot and all of that, and he just lets it happen. That was a really confusing moment for me. I was like, why? And there were several other things like that happened in the movie where I'm just like, come on, like a movie cannot make any sense, but it has to at least have some sort of logic behind the characters' motivations and why they're doing these things.
Yeah, it did seem one of those things where
I
it was
thought,
just really, it was confusing to see,
yeah,
like, that's it. Wow, Jesus, he did all this for this. All right, and then it just like leaves, and he's just like, oh, he doesn't even realize. I don't even know
yeah,
if he left that he knew that it left the room.
yeah. He didn't even like try to stop it or see what was going on or anything. He just stood there by
But I do have
the
to say
portal.
that when he showed up in front of that like glowing triangle thing at the end there, my immediate thought was, "Oh, the band Tool."
Huh.
Like he looked like something that you would see in a Tool video.
I thought he looked like the character in Hellraiser when I think I can't remember if it's the guy or the woman in Hellraiser, but they look the exact same. Where like they don't have skin and they're just like walking around without skin. But I thought that was cool, and that effect they did when they kind of made his like they kind of vaporized him when he was in front of the void thing, and like you know what I'm talking about, like his skin,
Oh,
not his skin, but his like body kind of vaporized, I guess. That looked awesome, I thought.
Yeah, there was a lot of things that I thought looked pretty good. Like I said, there was a couple of things that were a little bit shoddy. Like when some of the people were in the void, you could definitely tell that they were in a non-existent place.
Yeah.
But I mean, when the creature effects are that good, it's not that hard to kind of overlook that stuff.
Yeah. And what we mentioned before, the thing reference, there's a lot of these creatures have like kind of these tendrils that will shoot out and wrap around you and like stick in you, and very, very effective, very creepy, very gross.
Especially when you see like a human casing,
Mm-hmm.
like an empty body hanging from the front of it,
Yeah.
of who that person used to be. That's really creepy. That's disgusting.
I also thought that a lot of the visual imagery just looked really. I just liked a lot of the stylish imagery of it. Like anytime that they would cut to the like cult members or whatever, kind of congregating outside of the hospital, like I just thought all that stuff looked really effective and creepy.
They were creepy as fuck. But I mean, they are like completely white robes with triangles.
Yeah, I thought it worked. And it was interesting too that it wasn't like, because a lot of these movies go like the devil, hell route, and this was very clearly like some sort of like a more astrological, alternate dimension type thing.
Which again is a nice thing because you really don't know what the hell this is. You know what I mean? Like you can kind of throw out there like, oh, it's probably like different universe. Is it, like you said, astrological? Who knows? Like you can kind of reach out to anything, but
yeah, it could be like that dimension that was in From Beyond or something.
It could be any dimension you want. Who knows? I mean, it's just whatever dimension it is rich in tendrils. That's all you need to know.
It is very rich in tendrils.
It's just tendrils everywhere. A lot of tendrils.
A couple of the shortcomings that I found with this, I didn't actually find the plot that interesting, and I think that combined with none of the characters were really compelling to me. Like I thought that all of the characters were pretty lame and pretty one dimensional for the most part.
Yeah, they're kind of standard fare.
Like the main guy, the cop, I just thought that he was just a nothing. Like he didn't really have any kind of personality, and I didn't really think that many of the people had personalities, and I just thought they could have done better with developing these characters a little bit. There was one scene that really bothered me for some reason, and the cop at one point gets injured, and he comes into the hospital and he's like losing a lot of blood and stuff, and they're trying to patch him up. And the doctor stands up and he's like, "All right, I stopped the bleeding for now." And then the cop gets up and he's just fine, but it doesn't even look like they've removed his shirt or anything. It's like they operated on him like through the hole in his shirt or something. And I was like, what? That just, I know it's a nitpick, but for some reason that really bothered me. Like, you don't even take this guy's shirt off to operate on him. You're just going to leave it on.
I love finding the, getting to find out the things that bother you. It's always interesting.
This strange shirt operation.
It's just like Blooming Mud Shovel. Well, if they came up with a different title.
Yeah.
And then it's like, if they would have showed that he had to put his shirt and his outer jacket back on once he got up from the floor, probably another full star.
Maybe. I also thought that and a lot of movies do this, but for some reason, like the pregnant belly looked really bad on the girl.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just something that special effects people have a hard time getting quite right, but it didn't look great.
Yeah.
Again, that's a nitpick, but I did like how at one point you realize like you can't trust any of these people. Like you have no idea when one of them is going to turn.
Well, that's what
the others.
That's what I thought was interesting with the father and the son, that are kind of just like on this rampage. And once the movie's over, you're kind of thinking like, how did they play into this at all? Like, it's never explained. Like, there's no backstory. You can surmise of what happened to his wife and the child, but you don't know.
Right. There was
rampage.
There was that opening scene with them.
How did they find out that information too? Like, how are they able to track down all this stuff? Like, where are they getting all this evidence?
Yeah, I don't know. I was never clear on that. Like how they really played into the grand scheme of this thing. Like, did they figured something out? I don't know.
There's just all sorts of stuff going on that's not explained. Which again, not that big of a deal. I'm okay with it. I'm actually happier that they didn't try and explain all of it. I don't need that.
And they do a little bit, like I said, with where we get to see a glimpse of that book. That fills in a little bit of the blanks, and then also the Polaroids that were in that box. Like that kind of fills in some of the blanks with what this cult was all about and what they're looking to do. I don't know, the whole like the doctor thing didn't really. I mean, I guess it was okay, but at first I was just like, it just seems a little convenient that he's this is this thing that's happening. Yeah. Also, I thought when they get this junkie in, and I wasn't really sure where this junkie was going to come into play either. I mean, you find out later how he was involved with it, but I was still like wanted a little bit more as far as what they did with him and all that stuff. But he does something to someone, and I felt like there was very little reaction to what he did. And maybe it was just because they had a lot of other stuff, life-threatening things that were happening during that time. But I felt like you're not gonna
they seem to get over that really quickly.
They were just like, all right, that happened.
Oh, bummer. Whoops. Yeah, that was kind of odd. There wasn't a strong emotional reaction, which is interesting because there was a strong emotional reaction to essentially every other thing that happened in the movie. And then that happens and they're just kind of like, we got to move on.
I also find it hard to believe that there'd only be like 4 people in this hospital, but I guess that's how a lot of those siege movies are. Although in Assault on Precinct 13, they kind of describe it like this is a police station that's been shut down, so obviously there's not going to be as many people in it. But in this, it's like, oh, it's just not that, it's just a small hospital, I guess. I mean, maybe there's hospitals like that do exist in the world.
It was because of that fire.
Oh yeah, that's
so
right.
They were kind of shutting it down, but there's still you would still think that with a fire and you're essentially shutting the hospital down, you have 4 people working, that you probably wouldn't be taking pregnant people. You would probably
Right.
have them go to a different hospital. Like you could probably do some small stuff here and there, like
And
I broke my arm.
yeah, and I just remembered that there were actually a few more people at the beginning, but
They
they go away pretty quickly.
they serve,
I forgot about that.
they serve no other purpose besides holding scalpels.
Yeah, that was Manborg, the patient in the bed.
Was that Manborg?
Yeah, it was the guy that played Manborg.
He's the guy that ended up receiving
Yes,
scalpel.
he got it. He got it pretty bad.
He sure did. He sure did. Yeah, that was an interesting thing too. I mean, I don't know how you are with films like it, but as soon as it started, in my head, I'm like, please be good. Just be good. Please. Just don't disappoint me. Don't be terrible. And then a person gets lit on fire right off the bat. I'm like, oh shit, we're just getting straight into it. All right, here we go. And I gotta say, I wasn't really disappointed. I mean, I have some issues here and there, and there was some of the, like I said, some of the effects work is a little bit shoddy. Some of the acting is, there was instances where everything seems to be going okay, everything's serviceable, and then all of a sudden they just like kick it up a notch with like the dialogue and the reaction, and it's just like, whoa, guys, tone it down. Like you're doing okay. You don't need to sell it. You're overselling right now. Just calm down.
Yeah, I thought the performances were a little meh, but I think that a lot of that has to do with the dialogue and the script just being a little meh as well.
Yeah. And I mean you know that going in though. You know what I mean?
No, maybe, but I think that it's still like from what I was seeing in the trailer and stuff, I thought it was going to be just a little bit of a higher level production, but again, like slight disappointment with it, but still overall I think it's worth a look for sure.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
All right, let's throw out some scores. Kevin, what are you going to give The Void out of 10?
I'd give The Void like a 6.
I'm actually also going to give The Void a 6 out of 10. It's on VOD right now. You can check it out. And I would say, yes, it is worth a look. Maybe my expectations were a little bit too high from the buzz that was kind of surrounding it, but I still came out of it having a good time.
That's interesting because we're both at 6s, right? So we essentially agree, but I think we can say that our 6s are different because like you kind of had expectations built up from seeing buzz, from seeing trailers and stuff.
Right, you were like the opposite, yeah.
I had nothing going in. I'm just like, please just be kind of creepy. Just, just have some good effects. Just give me something. And it delivered on those. So,
yeah. Well, that's how expectations work. That's why I always try to not have too many preconceived notions or expectations about a movie going in. I mean, it's hard not to, but...
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah. All right, so that's The Void. Let's move on and talk about someone we're watching on the watch list. Kevin, do you want to start off this week?
I guess I'll start it off. I finally got around to Loving, the Jeff Nichols.
Yep.
Whatever. This is one of those things where I'm like, there's not a whole lot to kind of like rail against it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, equal parts, there's not enough to like really latch on and be really excited about. Like it exists as a film and it does an okay job of what it needs to do, which is tell the story of this couple. And sure, fine. It's just not my thing. It's not what I'm looking for in a film. I'm looking for creativity. I want to see some artistry. To this is just I don't.
It's pretty much a biopic.
Yeah, like what?
In a lot of ways.
What? Like, there's barely a script. The acting's okay. I mean, they don't really do much because they're kind of a quiet couple. I gotta say, Nick Kroll kind of stuck out like a sore thumb.
I liked Nick Kroll's character. I thought that he had some much needed levity into that film.
Yeah, I will agree with that. It was nice to kind of lighten things up, but at the same time, it was like,
you're not used to seeing Nick Kroll in.
It's that, but it's also like the story that we're telling. It's like, do we need to lighten it up though? Like, I don't know if this is the place
should
for Nick Kroll. Like, I think we should maybe take a more somber tone with this. I don't know. It's one of those things that it's just like, okay, sure. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It's just, all right. I mean, that's your thing. That's your thing.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt about it. This was like, I ranked this number 50 on my 2016 list.
Yeah. I mean, just
like it was good. It didn't wow me.
yeah, exactly. Like it's solid filmmaking, you know. It's not terrible by any stretch, but at the same time it's nothing special. I mean, does it really need to exist in the first place? No, I don't think so. It's just I mean, you can put it right there in the middle. Just slide it in the middle and just tuck it away forever. Cuz no one's
Just
going to
tuck it away.
no one's going to remember Loving like 2 years from now. It's going to be what you're going to see is people going through Jeff Nichols' filmography on IMDb and be like, "Love it.
Oh yeah.
What the fuck was that? Oh god, yeah, okay, yeah, yeah. That was the one where Edgerton was just like, oof.
Did a Sling Blade impression.
Yeah. What do you want me to tell with judges? I love my wife. Oof. It's just like, sorry. No.
I think that it is kind of an inspirational story, and I think that it is one that people should know about.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But
and I think that's the thing that really helps it is because it is a great story. It's just I don't know, if, like as a film, I don't know if we need that. You could just do like a really good article, maybe write a book about it.
You could probably even do a documentary.
Yeah, there you go. Do a documentary.
All right, that's Loving. I saw Tag. This is from Shin Sono. Wow, this one is... I mean, you know, his movies are pretty batshit, but this one was... It definitely harkened back to the Suicide Circle days, or Suicide Club days. The opening scene of this film involves two buses of high schoolers all going to a field trip, and the main character, she drops her pen and she bends over to pick up the pen off the bus floor. And when she's doing that, a mysterious, invisible, I want to call it like a wire, rips through the bus and decapitates every single person on both buses and splits the bus in half. And she's the only survivor.
All right.
And this invisible wind starts chasing her down, and anybody that comes in its path just gets eviscerated, just sliced in half, or have their head cut off. And it's such a weird, strange movie. So she goes through this just horrific event. She doesn't know what's going on. Then all of a sudden, she somehow makes it back to her school. She runs back to her school, and everybody's there and alive. And she's confused. She doesn't know if she dreamt it or just imagined it. But then something else happens where all of a sudden the teachers pull out giant chain guns and start mowing down all of the students. And so she escapes and she runs away, and then all of a sudden she's a different person completely. She's a completely different person. When she looks in the mirror, she is a different person.
Okay.
Who's running a marathon. And then that person, some really horrible things start to happen to her.
I gotta say, not to cut you off here, but at the same time, it sounds like you're just making this up.
I know. It is.
She's a different person. She's running a marathon. You're just pulling stuff out of a hat.
Yeah. It does sound like I'm just kind of making up this movie as I go, but it is. It's very, very strange, and it's very, very surreal. It's very abstract in a lot of ways, but it's awesome, and I would highly recommend checking it out.
I need this yesterday.
When you do find out, there is a point to all of it. There is a theme. I'll leave that for anyone listening to find out for themselves, but there is something that you find out at the end where it kind of ties it all together, and then it does make sense. It's not just completely out of left field and just random. It does all get tied together at the end, and I can easily see why when it does get tied together, that might not work for some people. But for me, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm totally on board with this. It makes sense to me, and I totally get what he's going for. But one thing that's interesting is it for like 90% of the movie, it's an entirely female cast. Like there's not even any male extras or anything. It's all women. But at any rate, I would definitely recommend Tag. Check it out. I mean, we've talked about his movies a lot. He comes out with a lot of movies, and I think for the most part, his movies are pretty great. They're definitely within my wheelhouse. Suicide Club's still my favorite of his. Just probably always will be, but this one was quite good. I mean, I would say that this might even. I think I enjoyed this more than Why Don't You Play in Hell and Tokyo Tribe.
Oh shit, that's encouraging to hear.
Yeah,
I'm excited for Tag now.
Yeah,
I have a
yeah
short film.
I think you'll like it because it's just insane.
I don't remember when that thing that we recorded where I talked about Festival Scopes, new director, new films. Monday. Okay, so a couple of them from there. One of them is Events in a Cloud Chamber.
That was last,
which is this short,
Monday.
like documentary. It's about 20 minutes long, give or take. Indian. It's interesting in the sense that what it's essentially doing is documenting this painter from the 60s, Akbar Patmansi, who was a very famous Indian painter, very modern. And at that time, there wasn't really any like modern Indian painters. So he became kind of famous for that. And then he started to experiment with film, right? So they show like his first film. They're able to show some of it. And it's this director's like interviewing him and he's kind of going through his history and stuff. So they show his first film. Now he made another film, 16 millimeter, called Events in a Cloud Chamber. But what happened is it got lost. No one has a copy of it. He actually, essentially, what the story apparently is, he let someone borrow it and he didn't really think anything of it. He was like, oh, what's the worst that can happen? Well, apparently the worst that can happen is that it's lost forever. So he doesn't have it. But he kind of goes through, he kind of talks about like what it was, how he was making it, what was the point of it and this and that. And then essentially like the last couple minutes or so is the director helping him kind of recreate that film from the 60s. So they essentially like remake it in the documentary, just kind of going off of like what he said, what the film was about, this and that. And it's just them kind of like recreating it. It's really interesting. Them kind of reconstructing this from his memory. And he's now like 89 years old and he's trying to, recount the way he made it and what he was trying to do. It was really interesting. They made it. They make it like the last, I can't remember the exact runtime
of it. So did they actually
let's say like the last 7 minutes is the film that he recreated. So it just kind of like segues into that and it just plays that and then it's over. But it's kind of like all leading up to that and then essentially the remake or the reclamation, if you want to call it that. But I mean, if you're like me, with me being just extremely interested in painters, because he goes through his whole process of painting and stuff like that. It's really interesting. Yes, some of them are. Yeah, I think
Events in the Cloud Chamber. So is that still available now? Because I know that some of them were expiring.
All right. Okay. I guess I should say because you put this
head
up
over to
on
festivalscope.com if you're interested in that.
Yeah, I guess
check
it
out
say,
for free.
Today's
as
the
long
last
as
day.
There's still tickets available.
Today. Yes, correct.
Yeah. Okay. Monday the 10th is the last day. Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
I saw Ghost in the Shell. This is the new one with Scarlett Johansson. I didn't hate this as much as I thought I would. It's getting pretty middling reviews. A lot of people are saying that it's a little bit of style over substance, and I would tend to agree with that. It's a pretty empty movie. I think we gave it, what did we give it on the site? Like a 4 or a 5 or something. I think Blake reviewed that for us. It does follow a lot of the same beats as the original film, the animated original from 1992, I want to say. So that's good that it does stick pretty close to the source material. They add a lot of stuff in it to, I guess, sort of develop the characters more. Like they make Scarlett Johansson kind of constantly questioning her existence because she's like a cyborg basically. She has a human brain, but everything else is robotic. So there's a lot of kind of her questioning her existence and all of that stuff. And they get into that a lot more in the live action one than they did with the animated one. And there's a lot more explanation as to how things work and what they're doing. So it is a little bit more kind of hand-holdy than the original. But the visuals are really strong. I mean, it looks gorgeous. It's a really great looking movie. The world feels very real, very lived in, and I appreciate that. It's just that there's not a whole lot happening here. I think that the PG-13 rating held them back. The original Ghost in the Shell anime was pretty violent. I mean, there's some really terrible things that happen, and in this movie they kind of have to scale all that stuff back, which in and of itself, I don't think is necessarily a problem in most cases. But in this, because it's not as violent, the stakes don't feel as high, and things don't feel as dire in a lot of ways. So it, fell short with that.
Yeah.
But overall, not, I don't know, it just wasn't great. It wasn't terrible by any stretch, but it was just kind of mindless entertainment more than anything. They also drew from the second Ghost in the Shell movie, which I didn't really. I actually watched Ghost in the Shell 2: Innocence after seeing the live action one, and there were like certain scenes like that were shot for shot from the second movie, which I thought was interesting. That they pulled some pieces out of the second movie, which in the second movie, the main character that Scarlett Johansson plays, Major, she's not even really in it until the very, very end, and she's not really herself in it. So, but Ghost in the Shell live action, not great. Ghost in the Shell 2: Innocence, however, I thought was almost better than the first one. It's all about the character Bato, who is Major's partner, and he was always my favorite character from the original. So to have, and I never saw the second one before, so to have the whole film be about him basically trying to solve a case was really cool.
I think it's probably high time I watched Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah, and I did put a review up of the Blu-ray that just came out a couple weeks ago before the movie. And so they released a steelbook Blu-ray of it, and it's complete crap. So I think it's probably the only way that you can see the movie at this point, but the subtitles are not great, and there's no special features whatsoever. And the transfer does not look that great either. The quality of Ghost in the Shell 2: Innocence is a lot better. The animation is so good in that one. Holy crap. But I mean, I still recommend seeing the original. I think you'll like it.
Okay.
Very cyberpunk sci-fi.
Cyberpunk sci-fi. Yeah, I've always been meaning to watch that, just for whatever reason. It just hasn't happened yet. It hasn't been.
It'll happen.
Time.
It'll happen. Don't worry, Kevin. It'll happen.
Just let it happen organically. You know what I mean? I mostly watched a shit ton of short films, but one other feature that I did watch is Pilgrim Song. This is from Martha Stevens, who's co-director of Land Ho. So I finally went back and checked out one of her. This is from 2012. So this is one of her solo outings. And the other thing that I completely forgot about when we did our year-end thing, and we were kind of talking about new talent, and I think I talked about David Maloney and Timothy Morton. I forgot Timothy Morton was in a number of films, and he's in this one. He plays the main character in Pilgrim Song. So one of the first things that I found humorous is he wears an assortment of eyewear. Like right off the bat, he's got the goggles. He's playing basketball. He's got the goggles on. He's looking like Kurt Rambis doing his thing. Then he's got the sunglasses on. Then he's got his glasses on. And he's just essentially a guy just kind of stuck. I mean, essentially, he's kind of like a piece of shit. just being a just terrible partner to his girlfriend, and he decides that he loses his teaching job because there's cutbacks, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna hike the trail. Just gonna hike the trail on my own, find myself, I guess. Uh, which this is a movie that kind of confused. It kind of caught me off guard. I'm not 100% sure how to feel. Number one, there's beautiful cinematography because this trail is just gorgeous. And I mean, the shots that they get just look gorgeous. I mean, I want to hike this trail.
Was it like the PCT?
No, it's somewhere in Kentucky. The Sheltowee Trace Trail, I guess it's called. It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Plus, Timothy Morton, he's essentially playing the character that I know him as from New Cops and Ben Go to Battle. So it's humorous.
Yeah.
And the entire time you're just kind of thinking like, this is kind of like, who gives a shit about this guy? Like, I really hope he doesn't get this girl. This is ridiculous. Like, he's a piece of shit. Like, come on. And, things get more serious as the film goes on. You learn more and you learn more. But the ending is really what threw me because it was not what I was expecting at all. It just the complete opposite. And it was actually what I wanted to happen. But at the same time, I was just so just into, I figured it was going to end a certain way because it felt like other indie movies where it's like this white guy is just like, he's not really, he doesn't have a lot to offer, but somehow it'll work out for him. And it completely flipped that on its head. And I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, honestly. Still not 100% sure how I feel about it.
What's the name of that again?
Pilgrim Song. And this is for free on Amazon Prime.
Oh, okay. Because I've been give that one a look.
Yeah, I've been trying to find this thing for years, and I haven't been able to find it. And sure enough, it's on Amazon Prime. And if you check on Letterboxd, 26 people have watched it, or at least logged it on Letterboxd. So if you want to be number 27, get out there. Log into your Amazon. Get it.
Right. I saw the new Joe Swanberg movie, Win It All. This is available on Netflix right now. I didn't even know that this movie existed until you brought it to my attention.
I didn't be there until I saw someone tweet it. Was like, oh, there's a new Swanberg.
Yeah, I had no idea. No idea. This stars Jake Johnson. I think it's also co-written by Jake Johnson. I think he wrote it with Joe Swanberg. It's about a guy. Jake Johnson plays this guy who is a gambling addict, and he is down on his luck. And this guy who I guess he at one point owed some money to, a criminal type, shows up at his house, gives him a duffel bag, and says, I'm going to give you $10,000 to just hold on to this bag for 6 to 9 months. I'm going to prison. And I don't want the cops to take this bag. I don't want anybody to find it. I'm going to leave it with you. When I get out, you give me the bag. I'll give you 10 grand. No questions asked. No nothing. So he agrees to do it. And of course, he can't help himself. He has to look in the bag. In the bag, among other things, is about 50 grand in cash. So his plan is to just take $500 because he's completely broke. He's got no money. He's in a desperate situation. He's like, I'm just going to take $500 and I'm going to go gamble it, win some money, put the 500 back, and put the duffel bag away. Of course, you know that's not how that works. That's not how gambling works. So he's up like 2 grand, but then he just can't help himself. So eventually he is down like $21,000. So he is in a shit situation. So he decides to work at the family business. His family owns a landscaping company. It's run by Joe Latruglio, who plays his brother. And Joe Latruglio is just fantastic in this movie. He's just he plays such a good guy. Like, he just plays such a likable person. And I think that's one of the interesting things about Swanberg's movies, his more recent movies, is his movies seem to be very kind of, maybe not wholesome, but lighthearted and just fun. And he's been creating characters that you just like just making likable characters.
Yeah.
And he's been doing that a lot more recently, I think. And there's no exception with this one. Even Jake Johnson, although he has problems, very clear problems, he's still a likable character. He's very charismatic. And even though he's in this situation, he sort of gets his act together. He starts going to Gamblers Anonymous. His sponsor is played by Keegan-Michael Key. Then he meets this girl, and he kind of falls in love with this girl. He's got his job. He's really making it work. And he has this thing worked out with his brother where, because he tells his brother he needs like 20 grand, but he's willing to work for it. So he has this agreement with his brother where as long as he does the work and sticks with it, he'll pay whatever the difference is at the end of the 6 months or whatever he can't save up. So everything's going great. Unfortunately, you find out that the guy that's in jail is getting out on early release.
Oh, no.
And he has nowhere near enough money saved up, so he's in big trouble. It's not like Joe Swanberg's other movies. There's not much of a plot. Like, everything that I told you is pretty much it, and it just kind of goes through this guy's life day by day. So in that sense, it is pretty light on plot. There's not like a big arc. I mean, I guess there is sort of an arc, but the way that it ends, I'm just like, I don't know if I liked how that played out. But it was light. It was semi-enjoyable. Nothing amazing.
Yeah, that sounds like one of those low stakes, low key film.
Right? Yeah.
Saturday afternoon. I just want something that's not going to disappoint me. Doesn't need to be great. Just needs to get me through.
Yeah, you can check it out on Netflix right now.
Another short that I checked out is Christopher Good, because I watched Brett Cuts Loose again because it was recently a Vimeo staff pick. I ended up writing a review for it because I fucking love that short so much. Just love it. And guess what? It holds up on like the 7th viewing. Still great. So then I remembered, he has a website, ChristopherGood.net, which has like all of his music videos and his short films and his feature, Mudjacking. So there was one from 2011 on there called Holy Moly, which I was like, oh yeah, I forgot he has these early shorts. I'm going to check this out. It has Jimmy Durant, who is the main character in Mudjacking. He's the main character in this one where he doesn't have luck with the ladies. All right. He's having sleeping troubles and he starts getting male enhancement drugs in the mail because he's like, what the heck? Give it a shot. He gets pissed off because they're not legit, but they're like, we'll make it up to you. We're going to send you a coach. She's going to enhance your entire life. You're going to be drowning in women. So he's like, all right, I'll do it. And so she's teaching him how to shoot guns, how to drive fast cars, how to do all sorts of stuff. Now, she has an ulterior motive. And when you find that out, it's like, it's just great. It's good. I mean, I did not see that coming at all. But it makes sense once it hits. You're like, gotcha. And it's another one of those things where it's just, the editing is so fast paced. It's rapid fire. It's just the ingenuity that he's using. I mean, it's 12 minutes and it's just fun as can be. It's fun as fuck. It's just his films. They're just so much goddamn fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna absolutely check this out probably after we're done recording.
Yeah, you're gonna love it because I'm just enjoying myself. And then once it hits as to what it is, like the reveal, you're just like, God damn it, Christopher Good, you are too good.
You're too good.
You're too good. God damn it.
Okay, and that's Holy Moly. That's available on, what is it?
I think it's ChristopherGood.net.
.net, yeah, I thought it was.
Yeah.
I saw Colossal.
You son of a bitch.
This is the new.
Shut your goddamn mouth and don't talk.
This is the new. I'm not gonna say anything about it. As far as like spoilers, the new Nacho Vigilando. I liked it quite a bit. I didn't know a whole lot going into this. I knew like very basic stuff. Like I didn't even see a trailer for this. I've been kind of trying to avoid it. I knew that it starred Anne Hathaway as kind of a alcoholic who realizes that she can control like a giant kaiju style monster. That's all I knew. Didn't know where that was going to go or what that would entail, how that would work. But needless to say, it subverted a lot of my expectations. A lot of the characters subverted my expectations in this. It goes places and it takes turns that I just don't expect. And when you realize, like, oh, this is what is happening in this movie, it's pretty incredible, and it's a lot darker than I expected too. With where it goes and how the whole like monster thing works and how she can control it. And there's other elements that come into play that I won't spoil, but it goes to a lot of places that I just did not expect, and it's a lot more serious than I thought too. It's a funny movie. There's a lot of comedy in it, but more than anything, it's more of like a sci-fi drama of sorts. But man, it is absolutely worth seeing though. I really, really enjoyed it. And I'm sure we'll probably talk about it later because I'm sure that you'll see it at some point.
As soon as I get the opportunity. I'm pretty excited about this one. I mean, I had like slight interest at the beginning, and it just keeps growing and growing because they just won't give it to me.
Well, I think that Nacho Vigalondo is such an interesting director. Like, it's not. I would compare him to someone like John Carpenter, not specifically like the look of his movies or the themes or anything like that, but just the fact that like John Carpenter always brought such a unique voice to his movie. Like his movies were so unique and different, and he was always trying different things, and all the movies that he would release were just uniquely his own. And I think that the same can be said about Vigalondo. Like all his movies are just so wildly different and interesting. And even like Open Windows, his last feature, I wasn't a big fan of that, but it was trying new things, and it was different, and was still going for like kind of cool twists and stuff that you don't expect.
It's at least going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
It's not like going into new Jeff Nichols, loving this should be interesting. No,
right.
It's not going to be.
You know exactly what it's going to be.
It's going to be a Wikipedia page up on the screen. Like, it's not going to be interesting. Yeah, that is the nice thing about his movies. Is even if they are slightly disappointing, again, it's at least interesting.
Right. Like Extraterrestrial, I thought was decent, but I didn't love it, but it was still very different and trying new things. And I think that he's also a director that can do a lot with a little. Like in Extraterrestrial, it was about sort of an alien invasion, but you really didn't see much of that on screen. And the same can be said about Colossal, although they show more of like the monster stuff than I expected. I thought it was going to be very, very thin on the actual kaiju stuff. So it was more than what I expected, but still, this is a very small film. So it's more about the characters, like Anne Hathaway and her relationship with her boyfriend, or her crumbling relationship with her boyfriend because of her drinking. He's played by Dan Stevens, and then you also have Jason Sudeikis and Tim Blake Nelson in there too. And so, yeah, definitely check out, if it's playing in a theater in your area, check out Colossal, because it's definitely worth a look. Anything else on your list?
No, I'm done.
Tapped out.
Tapping out.
I will say that I've been seeing some Tribeca stuff. Tribeca doesn't start until the 20th, I want to say. So I can't talk about anything just yet, but I saw like 4 or 5 movies at Tribeca that are going to be screening at Tribeca so far. And I can tell you right now, I've enjoyed all of them.
Ooh,
so
nice.
Yeah, there's some really good things. The weird thing about Tribeca this year, because I was like looking at, I was creating my schedule and everything. A lot of the movies are getting released very shortly after they screen at Tribeca. Like Buster's Malheart, the one with Rami Malek, that's coming out in May. So it'll be screening the end of April at Tribeca and then coming out in May. I think Super Dark Times, that's going to be coming out very shortly after it screens. Manifesto, I think, is coming out very shortly after it screens. So like a lot of these movies are coming out pretty quickly after they screen. So that's definitely cool for anybody that doesn't have the opportunity to go to that festival. All right, let's talk about some new releases. Next week, we have The Fate of the Furious.
Mm.
You see Fate, so it's like F8 Fate because it's the eighth one.
Shit.
You see what they did with that, man?
Clever son of bitches. Oh, I had no idea. They're on 8. They're on 8 now.
I know.
Damn.
I know. I can't believe that there are 8 of those movies. I have such a tumultuous relationship with the Fast and Furious series because I hated the original ones. Like I hated the first one. I don't even know if I saw the second one when it first came out. Tokyo Drift I skipped altogether until many, many years later. And then 4 and 5, I also skipped those because by that point I was like, this is a terrible franchise. I don't understand why they keep making these. And then I went back and I watched part 4 and part 5, and like part 5, I believe, was the one that kind of turned it around for me, and I sort of realized like I see what they're doing with this series, and I'm liking it. And so like I kind of turned around on this series.
Well, that's kind of. I mean, I hated the first one. Hated it.
And
I completely wrote it off from there. And then, like now, I've kind of heard like, and I really haven't seen it. I haven't really seen trailers or anything, but I've kind of heard like how they've kind of transformed the franchise. And now I'm somewhat like you, even though I haven't seen it yet. But I'm like, this sounds kind of interesting. This sounds like something that I could do.
It's so funny because when you see the first Fast and the Furious, it's basically just a Point Break ripoff. They just remade Point Break with cars. That's all that is, and it's very serious. And it takes itself very seriously.
Yeah, that was the thing that bothered me.
As the series goes on, it gets a little bit more crazy and a little bit more crazy. And I think it was part 4 that was like really, really CG heavy, and it was just. But then 5, they were like, okay, we're gonna do more practical effects. We're gonna do more real car stunts, and we're gonna just amp everything up to 11 and just make it completely ridiculous and crazy. And for me, that's when it really won me over because it was no longer taking itself seriously. It was just like, let's just see how many crazy, out of control car stunts we can do and deliver this kind of fun, sort of heist movie out of it. And that's what they've been doing ever since then. I think 5 is still, for me, it's the best one, I think. But, 6 and 7, they had their moments too. And like 7 was pretty ridiculous. I mean, that was the one where they did the car jump in between the 2 buildings, where they went through the window of one building into the window of another building, which, that's some crazy stuff. And it looks like in this one, in the new one, they're just making it even more ridiculous. Like the last trailer I saw, who plays the what's her name plays the villain? Charlize Theron plays the villain, and she has some sort of device that can remote control cars.
Okay.
And she basically takes over the control of like all the cars in an entire city to come after them. It looks like World War Z, but with cars. It looks so ridiculous. And I'm pretty excited to see it.
Yeah, I kind of want to see how that plays out.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'll be giving this one a look. You just have to know what you're getting into when you go into these movies. I don't think anybody takes them seriously at this point. But and the cast also, the cast has gotten so robust. Like this one has Kurt Russell in it.
Ridiculous.
Jason Statham and The Rock and Vin Diesel and freaking Ludacris and I mean Tyrese. It's incredible.
It's out of control.
Yeah. So that one's coming out. We also have Spark, A Space Tale. That's an animated film that doesn't look too great. The Lost City of Z. What do you think about this one? This one's getting some buzz.
This one's getting some buzz, but it's also a what's his name there? The James Gray.
Oh yeah, James Gray.
Yeah, and the Charlie Hunnam in there.
I thought you were because I know you hate him too.
Oh God, he's such a bad actor. I'm sorry.
I will agree with that. He is not very good.
He is bad. But it's also James Gray, which is one of those directors that there is a large chunk of people out there that are obsessed with James Gray films, and they're obsessed with him and just he is, one of the greatest, finest American directors working right now. And I just don't see it. It confounds me. I just, his filmmaking is just so boring to me.
I haven't seen a lot of his movies. I think I only saw.
I'm basing it off of one movie that I've seen, but god damn it, that was enough.
Was that
All
The
right?
Immigrant?
Yeah. And
Yeah,
The
I
Immigrant
remember. Yeah, I remember you talking about that.
was fucking enough.
I
Because
saw.
people were going they were going crazy for
Yeah, I
that one.
remember. I remember they were losing their minds over that one.
No, thank
I
you.
saw We Own the Night, which was, it was fine. Yeah, this one I'm not. I'm just not interested in it really at all. I don't know. For some reason, it just doesn't grab me. It's sort of
Yeah.
a exploration adventure movie,
Yeah.
but something tells me that it's going to be a lot more dry and a lot less adventurous. I mean, I don't think we're going to be getting an Indiana Jones here.
No.
So
No.
I'll probably be skipping that one, but I'm also going to keep an eye on it and see what people say after it gets released. All right, we have The Outcasts. I'm actually not sure what that is. We have A Quiet Passion.
I've heard a lot
Tommy,
of good things about that one.
A Quiet Passion.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what that is. Emily Dickinson.
Yeah,
I don't know about that.
the period piece with Cynthia Nixon. Nope,
Yeah.
that's a hard pass for me. Tommy's Honor, the about golf, like the early days of golf, or
No,
something.
thank you. There is nothing worse than the early days of golf.
I mean
Actually, just golf in general. No, thank you.
the poster looks very bad.
Yeah,
Uh,
with their fucking sticks and their hats and the suits and come on.
Norman, the moderate rise and tragic fall of a New York fixer.
Okay.
This is with Richard Gere. I haven't
Oh
seen him in a while.
no, no, I haven't either, and I'm okay with that. I'm gonna keep it going.
Me too.
I'm
Me
not
too.
gonna see Norman.
My entire high school is sinking into the sea.
This is interesting.
Yeah, this is an animated film
From graphic novelist Dash Shaw.
featuring the voices of Jason Schwartzman, Lena Dunham, Reggie Watts, Maya Rudolph, Susan Sarandon. Yeah, I'll
Sign me up.
yeah, sign me up on this one. I'll check this one out for sure. It looks interesting. Little Boxes. I heard a lot of good things about that one.
Yeah, that looks good to me too. I want to see that one.
Yeah, I think that one will be pretty good. What else do we got here? That's pretty much it. Chasing Train, the John Coltrane. It's obviously a John Coltrane rock doc.
Yo, rock doc. I mean, he deserves one. I wonder if it's any good.
Well, apparently this is the first authorized biography
Okay.
of John Coltrane by his estate. So
It says it's the definitive.
yeah, it was like the only one that was actually approved.
But then I get the cast, and it's like Bill Clinton, Common, Wynton Marsalis, which I love. I love Coltrane, and I know Coltrane has wide appeal, but I don't need to hear Bill Clinton, Common, and or Wynton Marsalis fucking talk about Coltrane.
Bill Clinton's a sax man, though, so
I know he's a sax man, and I'm sure he had a huge influence on him, but I don't need to hear Bill Clinton talk about John Coltrane. Okay? I don't need that shit.
Oh
Sorry.
god. All right, VOD next week we have let's see. This is on April 11th. We have Mako Dancing Child. I think it's about a ballet dancer. The Sweet Life, Asylum of Darkness. And on April 12th we have The Lone Road, and then on the 14th we have Little Boxes.
Okay. All right. All right.
Little Boxes is probably the only one that I'll give a look on VOD.
Yeah.
We have Blu-ray releases for April 11th. Hidden Figures, The Lurking Fear is getting just Lurking Fear from 1994 is getting a Blu-ray release. Arrow is putting out House 2 Stories, which is the part 1 and part 2 of House.
Okay. All right.
I liked part 1. I wasn't a big fan of part 2, but part 1's worth a look just because it's so weird and goofy. The Phantasm Collection is coming out. This is a 6-disc Blu-ray set. I'm very excited about this one because it's got all of the Phantasm movies. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then Phantasm Ravager, which was the new one that came out last year. Or maybe it was this year that came out. We got Lion. We got. Are you gonna check that one out?
So that is one of those movies that when it comes out and I see the poster, I immediately think to myself, I'm never going to watch you ever. I will make it a point to not watch you.
No, I'll never see that one either.
There's certain films, where the marketing material, it gets that reaction from me where I'm like, I would do everything in my power to never watch you.
Yeah, it's terrible. Terrible marketing material in that.
Mm.
Kai Blues coming out on the old Blu-ray.
Ooh, that's a good one right there.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend checking that out. Bye Bye Man. Bye Bye Man.
What now?
The Bye Bye Man.
What's he do? What's the Bye Bye Man do?
I'm guessing he kills you. I don't know. It looks like a pretty bad PG-13 style supernatural slasher movie.
Do you think before he kills you, he says bye bye?
Bye bye.
Do you think? I hope that. But there's a part of me that wants him to do that.
I would see it if someone could guarantee me that he does that. I would definitely watch that movie.
Yeah, and if he just went on like a murdering spree of like 67 people, where it's just like every 5 minutes, it's like bye bye. That'd be fantastic.
Monster Trucks getting a Blu-ray release.
Okay.
I feel like that one just kind of came and went, thankfully.
Sure did.
What a dumb idea, Monster Trucks. Are you kidding me?
They're actual monsters. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, so it should be called Monster Trucks, not Monster Trucks like how we say it. It'd be like Monster Trucks. The Alien Anthology is coming out again on Blu-ray. I don't know how this is any different than the Alien Anthology that came out a couple of years ago on Blu-ray. Something tells me that there's no difference. War on Everyone coming out.
Yeah. Okay.
Arrow is releasing Django, Prepare a Coffin. That is such an awesome title. Django, Prepare a Coffin.
That is a good title.
Let's see, what else do we got here? That is pretty much it. There's a movie called Brimstone that's coming out. That came out on VOD a few weeks ago. Western that didn't look that great. What do we got on the Criterion front next week?
We have two. I'm not 100% sure what's going on here because they're from a collector's set. So I think they're just making these available on their own as standalones.
Sure, yeah.
So you have the Umbrellas of Sherber, which is the only movie that Ryan has refused to watch for Ryan Watches the Movie.
Yep, remains the only movie that he flat out refused to watch.
He was like, no thank you, which is also a film that I hate more than anything in the entire world. I just hate that film.
I watched about 5 minutes of it back when we gave this to him, and I was just like, he's never gonna watch this. And I had to turn it off.
Yeah, and it's one of those things now that I could probably watch now and get over the whole musical thing, because I have a feeling that it is probably wonderful in its colors. Probably has great color in the movie.
Oh, people love this movie.
Oh yeah, no, this is a classic. I mean, this is an absolute classic for people. I can't get into it. Can't do it. And then another Demi film is The Young Girls of Rochefort. So you got those two, which are available in a collector's set, but I guess they're just making them. I guess those are the two biggies that they're making available now on their own.
Oh, well, there you have it. I also forgot to mention that the Dead or Alive trilogy is also coming out on Arrow. I don't know if these movies ever got like a proper U.S. release. This is the Miike one series.
Yes.
I have the weird Japanese releases that are questionable at best.
Yeah, I don't think they're legit.
I don't think they were either.
I don't think any of those Asian movies that we bought.
A lot of them were not legit at all. Like some of them, I remember like some of them didn't even have like the right covers, and like the DVDs were weird. Like I remember
the credits, like the credit, like the lettering.
Yeah,
they weren't right.
I remember the one Miike film I have, it's double-sided. Like the Blu-ray is, you have to, if the movie stops halfway and you have to flip the DVD. So it's only like a single layer DVD that they use or something.
Yeah, I don't think production companies were using that. I think that was some guy.
Very strange. And I still own my copy of Suicide Circle
Hell
because I got that DVD before it came out. The movie came out in the States, and when it did come out in the States, they renamed it to Suicide Club. That's why I still call it Suicide Circle.
yeah.
And that was a really weird DVD. I remember it had like this white, like the disc was like white, and it looked like it was just printed on somebody's computer. And like the cover looks completely different than all of the other releases that I've seen of that movie. It's a very strange release.
Yeah, I'm 100% sure that was bootleg from like some like 15-year-old.
It probably was.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Those fuckers were cheap. We got to watch great movies.
I know that was. I'm wondering if they still, because they do. They still have those VCD stores and stuff in Chinatown. You can still find them. There's not as many as there were, but I went into one a few months ago, and they still had pretty cheap movies. But eBay is the way to go. I remember we just bought so many DVDs for like nothing.
Yeah,
on eBay.
It was fantastic because it was essentially like we would just buy.
Oh
so
yeah,
many things. We just if it sounded kind of cool or if it had a certain actor, we bought it, and they were cheap. They were so dirt cheap.
I mean, that's the way to do it. Like, I know that now you can pretty much just use the internet to discover whatever you want.
Yeah,
but back then it was the whole
thing. It was the whole thing of getting it in the mail, and then it was either I got it or you got it, depending on who bought it. And then you would come over to that person's house like,
yep,
shit, look what I got. Look what came in the mail.
But it's also so much fun to discover new filmmakers, new movies, new actors doing that method where you would get a movie, and if you liked that movie, you would then try to buy whatever other movies that director did, and then you would look at the actor and be like, okay, well, they were in this movie. This movie seems like it might be cool, so let's buy this. And it was just this kind of web that you would create where you would find new directors, new actors. It was so cool because, I mean, back then you didn't have like Letterboxd and all these other sites that kind of help with that discovery aspect.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you could still do it to this day, and it's kind of a fun way to find new movies, new directors, new filmmakers and stuff.
Oh yeah.
All right, I think that's going to do it for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can send us your questions and topics to podcast@filmpulse.net. Follow us on Twitter @FilmPulseNet and @FilmPulseKevin. And if you have a minute, take a look at our Patreon page, patreon.com/FilmPulse. Consider helping us out by becoming a subscriber. For Kevin Rakestraw, my name's Adam Patterson. We'll see you next week.